Hey there, Transformer fans. This is Prime Animation, Carlos coming at you. I'm gonna go ahead and start to do a couple of these videos once a month. I'd really like to take the opportunity to interact with you guys, the fans, give you updates on where the project is at, advancements that we made, challenges that we've come across, and that's going to be the purpose of today's specific video. We're going to go ahead and give you a full-blown update of where we're at, and hopefully as we go along, we're going to go ahead and update you on a month-to-month basis just to give you some nuggets, answer any questions that you guys might have, and address some of the things that are out there. First and foremost, why we're doing this. I know that's been a question that has been out there. Why we're doing this? Because we're Transformers fans. We love Transformers. Specifically, we love Transformers Prime. There was a little bit of a void when the series ended. There was so much potential, a lot of opportunities that we saw. And so I wanted to just basically keep it going and add on to the universe. Before I get started, I just want to thank a couple of people. I want to thank my team, number one. They've been working hard since 2014, since we started this. And we continue to work hard still to this very day. And one of the promises that we've made continuously is that we're going to finish this no matter what. And my team is absolutely dedicated to doing that. Second thing, I want to dedicate all the fans out there. I can't tell you how many times we've seen the comments that you guys have put based on either the artwork that we've put out there or animated clip or whatever. And it's really encouraging. I'll tell you, there are times where I'm like burnt out. I'm like so tired just from the regular day-to-day things that I do. And last thing I want to do is, at midnight is sit behind my laptop here and animate. I'm tired. But then I start to look at some of the comments that you guys made, the encouragement and things like that. And it really, really does motivate. I'll stay up sometimes till 1, 2 in the morning animating. So keep it coming. Keep those encouragements coming. In addition to critiques, we welcome it because it only helps us get better. However, I just want to say, please be respectful. Some comments are very pushy, some comments are very rude, and some comments come across as ungrateful. Keep in mind, we're doing this for free. We're doing this out of the kindness of our hearts. All of us have family. We have things. We have full-time jobs. I have 3 little ones, So all these things, I just want to say, just keep at the forefront and just keep the critiques as positive as possible. We really appreciate that. So let's go ahead and get started. I want to give you guys a project status update. So as I said before, we started this back in like 2014, right? Almost immediately after the series ended. I think it was October, November of 2013. I started coming up with some ideas. I was thinking to myself while I was talking with my kids as we were driving somewhere, and I'm like, why didn't this happen? Why didn't we see that? Or we could have done this, or we could have done. I just said to myself, man, why can't I do this? I know how to draw. I know how to. I just need a team. Man, we put it together, and we've done a lot. We've had a number of different. I don't know, like 20 some odd different Transformer characters. A couple of human characters, maybe like 4 or 5 different human characters, all the vehicles, 11 environments, etc. Right? So we've definitely done a lot of work, and we've put a lot into it. So, why is where are we at right now? I know that's been a lot of questions. A lot of people have asked, what percentage are you done, etc., etc. I'll be honest with you guys. We had originally anticipated to have this done by 2017. I figured that based on how quickly I can animate, due to how much I knew of my animation software, I could get it done by that time. However, I'll give you guys a little bit of background. I'm a Softimage user. It's called XSI. I've been a user since 2005. In 2016, the software got discontinued, and everybody's been using their own software. We've had Blender, we've had Maya. We've had some that I've never even heard of, and those modelers use those. They model it out. They export it as an OBJ file. I import it into mine, and that's how I've been working on it. However, what took place when we got discontinued was that I didn't think about. I got my own license, right? I purchased it. I borrowed against my 401k. It cost me like $4,000. I bought it. However, I made the mistake of not getting a multiple user licensing, so I couldn't get my team. I couldn't transition my team into my software essentially. So fortunately, our lead animator, Jonathan, he's a Blender user, and he was able to do an amazing job with the intro that we released in 2017 and the Bruticus reveal. Came out really, really nice. The rendering, the lighting, those are two of my weakest points. I don't really quite understand how it all works systemically. So he has some knowledge, and there's a lot more tutorials for Blender stuff than there is for Softimage stuff. So I made the decision to switch software. So everything that we did in Softimage, we had to transition over to Blender. And that's where the delay has come. Every single model that we did, every single environment, we had to transfer it over, had to be retextured, re-rigged, etc. We're still doing that right now. Jonathan is the only one who actually really has that knowledge and that ability to do that. So he's actually working on the last environment, which is the Cybertronian city. Other than that, everything's been done. So we sacrificed time in hopes that we can get you a good visual project, right? Because I mean, the story is going to be great, but I think it needs to be coupled with good visuals. So we're hoping that in the long run, that's going to pay off for us. That being said, once we're done with this project, we can very easily transition over to the sequel, right? Most of you guys know we did put out a teaser clip of the Dinobots. The Dinobots Unleashed is what we're calling the sequel, right? And we've got that. We've got that in the works, right? Artists who can't transition over to the animation phase are working on characters for that sequel. I also posted a couple of pictures of the Dinobot models that we have for Transformers Prime. So we should be able to make that smooth transition once we're done with this. Boom, we immediately go into the next one. So that's a positive as far as that goes. And the next, hopefully the sequel won't take as long as this one. We learned a lot. We made a lot of mistakes, but out of those mistakes, we learned a lot. We know what to do, what not to do. So in the next one, we'll implement those things that we found out, and hopefully will be a lot smoother. So back to this current project, where we're at. We're in full-blown animation mode, right? We're animating scenes. We put out, I think, 9 different animation clips. Those are not the clips. First of all, they're not completely done. Right now, the way we're working it is we've got basic blocking. It's a little bit more than basic blocking, right? We're doing the blocking so that way our lead animator can come in behind us and he can smooth everything out. Since he's got a lot of knowledge of the system, he could just come in and smooth out the the animation curves and all the things to make it look seamless, right? So 3 of us are blocking. He'll come in behind us and he'll start smoothing it out. I can also smooth out. I just don't want to spend that much time smoothing out. Once I'm done getting all the basics, then I can transition over to him and help him out with smoothing things out. So the clips are not done. The audio's not done, right? The special effects aren't done. It's going to take time. We want to put out clips to keep you guys engaged, right? Because it's gonna stink that we put a piece of artwork out and then you don't hear from us like 5-6 months down the road or something like that, right? It's like, wow, what happened to you guys? You guys fell off the map. So every month we want to put out a clip just enough to give you guys, a little something to keep you locked in, right? I'm seeing you guys comment and it's hard for me to read and go through it. So I apologize if I'm not answering your question. We are going to do a Q&A session at the end. Let me get through the progress and then I'll answer whatever questions you guys have. And I'll start by answering some of the biggest ones. Okay. Back to the project. So we're in full-blown animation. We're doing the clips. The clip is just a clip. We've got a lot more of that animated out, but obviously we don't want to give you everything. And I definitely don't want to give out bits and pieces of crucial information of the story, right? I want to keep you guys surprised. There's no point in me giving out everything now, and then you guys know exactly what's going to happen when the project comes out, right? Don't want to do that. So I want to give you guys enough to keep you locked in, keep you coming back for more. but don't want to reveal too much. We're gonna do more clips. I'm finishing up. I shouldn't say I'm finishing up. I'm working on another one right now. Should be done by the end of this month, beginning of next month, somewhere in there. Like I said, the audio's not done, so whatever audio you hear is just me fooling around with whatever I have. It's not the pros, right? We've got two pros, two people who actually specialize in this, and they are the ones who are doing the audio. They're the ones who will work on all the sound effects, the special effects, make the voice modulation, even whatever. That's beyond the scope of my knowledge, but they'll work on that. So we'll go ahead and release some more clips as we get through these. As we complete them, we'll section out a piece and we'll show them off to you. Next subject that I want to get to is the GoFundMe page. Some folks have said, "Why do you guys need that? Do this, do that." A lot of recommendations, and they're all great. Why we set it up? Because, like I said, like I mentioned before, I had to take out $4,000 out of my 401k just to get the software. Obviously I can't keep doing that. It's a penalty every time I do. I don't know if how many of you guys know about 401ks, but anyhow, why we set it up is because we wanted to get a couple of different individual render engines that we can just let render once we're done with the animation, so that way it doesn't take away from our animation time, right? So as a scene gets completed, boom, it's almost like a conveyor belt. Completed scene, bam, render. But we don't want to render and lose animation time if we're doing it off of just the laptops that we each personally have, right? We want to be able to render that sucker out and keep animating so we don't lose time, right? Last thing we want is to continue to extend the project out even longer. So I had wanted to get like about 4 different render engines, that were I guess user friendly with Softimage. So obviously, since we transitioned, we need one that's Blender friendly. I'm gonna ask you guys this: if you guys know anyone, any equipment that is cheaper than the ones that we're looking for, and reliable, and meet the specifications of quality that we need, please shoot that on over to me, because I'm so limited with time. I don't have time to sit down and go through all these different things. So if you guys have, and from personal experience or whatever the case, shoot it over. I can look at it easier than me trying to look for it. So that's why we're doing the GoFundMe campaign, right? We want to be able to buy individual render engines so that we're not burning out our own laptops, and we don't lose time. So that would be that. The ones that I looked at, I see a question: how much does a render engine cost? Well, the ones that I was looking at for Softimage were like $5,000 each, and that's where the $20,000 comes from. If we can, get something that's more cost effective, and interacts well with Blender, then obviously we can readjust the figures and whatever the case may be. But we do want to get. We've got 19 scenes in total for this project. There's 19 scenes, so that's a lot of scenes to render out, right? One of the things that I didn't mention was the time. How long is the project going to run for? We want to keep it as close to the time of Predacons Rising. I think it was like maybe 90 some odd minutes. I can't really remember, but maybe between an hour and an hour and a half. So we want to keep it close to that. Right now, without any editing, we're over that. We're a good amount over there. We're maybe like about almost 2 hours. We don't want to make it 2 hours. We don't want to do like an Avengers movie. We're not there yet. So what we want to do is get it as close to in between that hour and a half, somewhere in between there, up until an hour and a half. That's as long as I want to go. So to render all that out is going to take time. Just to give you an example, just to give you an example, on my old computer, 10 seconds worth of, let's say, PlayStation 1 graphics. Was it 10 seconds? I think it was 10 seconds. 10 seconds took like 8 hours of rendering time on my laptop. That's how long, just for 10 seconds. I have a couple of videos that I posted of, it was like the alternator toys. It was Bumblebee, Jazz, and Ironhide. It was like 10 seconds. It was really quick. 8 hours to render. On this laptop that I have now, those 10 seconds would take me about, I think, 3 hours. So there's a huge cut down. But if we're talking about a full-blown movie, you could see how much, just do the math, right? And not only that, but if I have to render on my laptop, I'm missing out on time. I could render while I'm sleeping, but then the light and I wouldn't be able to get good sleep. I got too many hours to work. So that's why the GoFundMe page is there. Again, if you're able to donate whatever it is, your name is going to be put on the credit at the end of the movie special thanks section. So you'll get some recognition, right? You'll be a part of a cool project, right? Again, my promise is that this project is going to finish. Our team is fully dedicated, but let's just say they get burnt out and they all quit, which is just not going to happen. But if they did, I'm going to finish it. That's 100%. Whatever. What else? So, okay. So we're working on a 2019 calendar. I don't know if we're going to, I really don't know if we're going to make 2019, but we may make it 2020, but we are working on a calendar. We've got some of the sketches already lined up from our graphic artist. So we've got that. We currently have some really cool gear. I posted a picture. It's a beanie hat. I should have wore it right now, but I got sidetracked. It's of our logo, our Prime Animation logo, which is pretty cool. I ordered a couple for myself, but as a thank you of your $50 donation, you'll get one of those cool beanie hats. I know we're getting ready to go into summer, but something that you can use for the winter time, or if you live in a pretty cold state where it's still kind of winterish. But all of your funds will go towards that render engine. None of it is going into my pocket. We'll post pictures, obviously, when we get our first one. And then not only that, but it also helps us for the second movie. Again, everything that we're doing now will set us up for the second film, and we should be able to get it out a lot quicker. So that's where we're at with the film. I think I covered all the points that I want to cover as far as where we're at. Again, we've got 19 scenes. We've got some already completed. I want to say maybe 4 scenes that are fully completed. Five scenes that are fully completed. And we've got some that are partially completed. We've got a number of them that are partially completed. The 2 biggest scenes that are going to take the most amount of time is going to be scene 11, which is our big fight scene on Cybertron. And then the final scene, the final battle that happens back on Earth. So yeah. So let's go ahead and get into our Q&A section. I know some of you guys already posted questions already, but I don't know if I can go through these comments or not. So if you can, I'll start off, and if you guys can just start off from here going forward, that'd be great. Is Optimus dead? Okay, so at the end of Predacons Rising, Optimus sacrificed himself for Cybertron. So we're not, that's the way the story went, right? So what we want to do is focus on this point from that moment going forward. These events take place right after Predacons Rising. So it doesn't make sense for us to do it that way, right? So we're just gonna continue going forward. We put out all the characters that we have, right? All the Autobots, all the Decepticons, and the Destructicons, right? So those are already out there. If you want, you can visit our website and check out. We put all of our pics. If you follow us on Facebook, all of the render for each of the characters are there as well. Let's see here. How good is Smokescreen in this movie? Well, each of our characters has a part. The ones that are going to get the most emphasis are the ones that are new. The others are going to have more of a supporting role, but we are still going to see growth and depth into it. For example, Smokescreen. There's a connection between him and Rodimus. They actually used to be kind of like college buddies at the academy, right? So they kind of know each other, and their personalities are kind of very similar, and that's where Smokescreen gets a lot of his immaturity from, right? Him and Rodimus are kind of like frat brothers, if you will, right? So Rodimus is kind of like the senior college kid, and Smokescreen was kind of like the freshman, and so Rodimus has had a big influence on the way Smokescreen is and was when he first came onto Team Prime. So we'll definitely see some really interesting interactions when it comes to that. What else we got here? Are you going to upload this and stream it at the end? Well, our plan is to put it on YouTube. How we do it, I don't know. I don't know if we're able to do the whole upload as a film or bits and pieces. I don't know, but the initial goal right now is to do YouTube. Just to give you guys some ease, I know a lot of questions were regarding, how can you do this? It's Hasbro. Okay, we're not selling anything. We're not marketing it to sell it. We're not slapping a Prime Animation product. All copyrights of all Transformers belong to Hasbro. That goes without saying. All we're doing is we're doing fan film or fan art, right? So it's no different than an artist wanting to do a Wolverine poster and hanging it up on their bedroom wall or whatever, right? That's essentially all we're doing. So we're just doing our own bit and piece. So we actually have gone to Hasbro and asked them permission. We would like to, go do like a straight to DVD type of thing. We did send them out a request. We didn't hear back from them. We plan on sending them another once we have a finished clip, rendered out and smoothed out and everything, and see if we can give it another shot. So let's see here. Don't tell any spoilers. Trust me, I won't. Will Viacon Steve feature? Yes, we will have Viacon Steve. They will be, you'll see them multiple times through the first half. They'll actually be pretty crucial. There's going to be some really interesting moments with the Viacons and the Autobot interaction. So Galvatron in this movie is not Megatron. No, that's a great question. That's a question that's come up multiple times. No, Galvatron is not Megatron. If we go back to the 1986 cartoon movie, right, we all know that Galvatron was derivative of Megatron. Megatron was reformatted into Galvatron, right? No, it's completely separate. So just to give you guys a little backdrop, and this is something that we've put out there, so it's not new, but when Primus created the 13 Primes to defeat Unicron, what Transformers Prime never mentioned is how many times. It almost makes it seem like it was one battle and that was it. Primes defeated Unicron. Boom. And it doesn't confirm that. So in our story, what we're saying is, hey, may have taken more than one battle to do so, right? So after the first initial battle where Unicron was defeated, and it doesn't tell you how he got defeated or what happened. It just tells you kind of like a very basic story that he, kind of retreated. So the way our story goes is that he retreated, and to counter the 13 primes, he starts to make 13 anti-primes, right? But he doesn't succeed. He only manages to create the 4 that we see: Galvatron, Cyclonus, Scourge, and Slipstream. Right? That's as far as he gets into making his 13 anti-primes. So Galvatron is a completely different character. The Destructicons are a new faction. They have no allegiance to anybody other than Unicron. They're the heralds of Unicron. So think Galactus, how he has Silver Surfer as one of his heralds, and a bunch of other characters. It's similar to that, except he's not devouring worlds. He built them to counteract the 13 primes and ultimately destroy Primus. So I hope that answers that question. Let's see here. Springer, what is up with Springer hanging out with Hot Rod? Okay, that's a good question. So we all know that Megatron kind of sent out, word to destroy the Autobots, right? It's why, what was the green plane? Oh gosh, now I can't remember his name. The villain that died, that Starscream resurrected, Skyquake. There we go. Right, he was sent out to find Autobots and destroy them, right? So I'm sure he gave that order to a bunch of other Decepticons and not just him. And that's where the Combaticons come in, right? The Combaticons were given that order from Megatron. They don't know what's happened because they're out there hunting. They haven't heard from Megatron in a long time, but they're not stopping their mission. And so they come across Rodimus and Hot Rod. Somehow they meet up somewhere along the way. They team up. And the Combaticons find them, chase them, and they're trying to, kill them. So that's how they hook up. They go on a fun adventure together. Let's see. What do we got here? Where are we going to see this movie? Again, on YouTube, hopefully. If that changes, we will let you guys know. Trust me, we'll let everybody know any changes that happens. Live stream after... Will you upload the live stream after it ends so we can... Yes, absolutely, I will. What Starscream and Shockwave in it? No, they are not in this. Again, every character that's in this movie, we've already released. So those two characters are not in there. Will they be in future films? I don't want to give that out yet. Let's see. Yes, 19 scenes. RC going to have sort of a history with Rodimus and Springer? Okay, that's a good question. We are trying to. We all know there was kind of like, you know what's really interesting. So 1986 movie, it seemed like there was some flirting going around with Rodimus and RC. But then obviously as the season went on, I think it was season 3, right? We saw that it was clearly Springer and RC. So a little bit of, I don't know if it was intentionally meant like that, if it was an accident, some misdirection, I don't know. But we're definitely going to play around with that in this trilogy. How long will the movie be? I already went into that. We're trying to keep it to the Predacons Rising timing. It may go a little bit over, so we're trying to keep it there. Are any of the Seekers going to be in it? Any of the Seekers? No. Again, all the characters have already been released, right? All the Autobots, 2 new Autobots that we're getting, Rodimus and Springer, right? And the Catacons are the new Decepticons, right? Which will form into Bruticus. And then the 4 Destructicons. That's it. A spin-off of Cliff Jumper, some other characters. Gosh, I can tell you that he is not in this current film. He is not planned for the sequel either. So, no, for Cliff Jumper. Fun Guy, I'm not sure what your question was. There's a lot of questions coming in. Maybe if you can re-ask it, I'm sorry. What human characters are returning? Okay, that's a great one. So we have Agent Fowler. I think we put out a picture screenshot of Agent Fowler. So Agent Fowler will definitely be in it. He's going to be the main human character. We are going to have General Bryce. There was in season 3, was it season 3 or maybe season 2 towards the end? There was like this flashback where he's questioning Fowler, and Fowler's kind of recapping all the good that the Autobots have done, right? Because General Bryce is like questioning whether there's a difference between really Autobots or Decepticons, or hey, they're Cybertrons, we can't really trust them. So he's going to be coming back. Let's see here. What human? Okay, Arachnid's still alive. Arachnid is not in this particular story, but she will be in the sequel. RB and Rodimus friends. Honestly, I'm an Autobot at heart. I think all Autobots are going to be friends. They're going to get along. Do they know each other from the past? No. The only 2 that know each other are Rodimus and Smokescreen. And then Springer knows the Wreckers. He's a former Wrecker lieutenant. So when he comes down and he sees Wheeljack and Bulkhead, he's like, hey, what's going on, guys? Where you guys been? Type of thing, right? So, and obviously he knows Ultra Magnus. So there is going to be a little bit more history given into the Wreckers and how Springer kind of mixes in with them. So good question on that one. Is Bumblebee going to be like his okay, so RID. This movie has nothing to do with RID. Reason why, and I know that RID came out, and there are fans that liked RID, and that's great. But think about this. We started this project in 2014 before RID came out. We're still working on it. If we had to change things around to fit RID into the continuity, we would never be done. I had no idea what Hasbro's doing with RID. We would literally have to start from scratch if I had to take in and consider what RID was doing. There's no possible way. So our project is apart from RID. Don't even think about RID when you watch this. It's strictly to the Prime television show. I'm not even taking into what happened with the video games or comics. It's just what happened with the cartoon show. It's confined to that. Let's see. Here's one of my questions. This is Fan Guy. When I want to model Transformers in Blender, I don't know how to start with base body. Do you have any advice? Yes. Like anything, right? There's lots of tutorials out there. Just Blender. Type in, do a search for Blender getting started, or the basics with Blender. There's a bunch of tutorials. I personally don't model on Blender. I'm animating on Blender, but I don't know how to model. It's such a in my opinion, it's such a complicated software. I still use Softimage for everything else. I'm only using Blender for this project. But yeah, there's lots of tutorials out there. If you want to shoot me an email, I can maybe give you some links that I have for Softimage, but I don't really have any for Blender. You just do a search. Agent Fowler, yes, Agent Fowler and his Star Spangled Shorts. Will you include Hotshot in your future project? No, Hotshot will not be included. Will Metroplex? Metroplex is not even mentioned. Cup, not mentioned. Again, all the characters, we've already listed them out. It's the Combaticons, the Autobots, plus Rodimus and Prime, and the Destructicons. Can you talk a little bit about Ultra Magnus? What is he doing in this one? Great, that's a great question. So Ultra Magnus is the leader, right? Every group needs a leader. Optimus is gone, and it's only natural that the second command would take charge of the Autobots. So Ultra Magnus is the new leader. He's not a Prime, because as we saw at the end of Predacons Rising, the Primes are no more, right? And I think Optimus says, you know, you don't need a Prime. Each and every one of you is like a Prime in your own way. So he doesn't have the title of Prime because he doesn't have the Matrix, but he is the leader of the Autobots. He is the main guy, and he is going to have support, right? We're going to see Springer's going to join right back into the lieutenant ranks of the Autobots. Bumblebee is going to be a lieutenant because we saw leadership quality in Predacons Rising, so it's only natural that he would kind of go up the ranks. And RC, I think, was established that she was kind of the second in command on Earth, so she's going to be officially given the title of lieutenant. Let's see. That would mess up your timeline. Absolutely, it would mess up my timeline, Danny Williams. Is Ultra Magnus the leader of the Autobots? Yes. Yes, will Ultra Magnus get his real hand back and not his hook? Yes, all of our images, he's got two hands. Some people say that's kind of stupid because he had a hook. Not really. Not really. And I want you, I think I've explained this, so I'm not giving any new information. Remember, Knockout replaced Megatron's arm, right? Not only did he detach it and put Solus Prime's arm there, but when it got cut off, put it right back in there. Solus Prime, right? I think it was Solus Prime. He put it back in there. Same thing with Starscream. When Starscream got his, I don't know if it was his hand or his arm chopped off during season 1, you know, hey, Knockout gave him a list of different arms that he could choose from. And ultimately, you know, Starscream just wanted his regular arm back, which he was able to do. Reason Ratchet couldn't do it is because he even said it, this is the best I can do with the limited resources we have. But now that they're back on Cybertron, they've got resources again, right? They're rebuilding it, so they've got resources. So Knockout was able to, fix or replace Ultra Magnus's hand. So it's not something that's out of line. We absolutely do explain it. We explain it actually right away. Scene 2 is when we explain that. Wasn't a fan of 2015, so I'm looking forward to this. Awesome. Thanks, Steven. RD was a mistake. Everybody has their opinion to stuff. There's gonna be people that like this. There's gonna be people that don't like it. My biggest likes were Beast Wars and Transformers Prime. Even G1, going back to it, I'm like, man, that just, gosh, the stories were, I don't know. There was no overall story arc. There were very small connecting plots, and there were a lot of things that were just, it's not really good. I mean, they were great for that time, and they were great to get started. But Transformers Animated, I also liked. Even though I wasn't too crazy about the artwork, the story got to me. The story always gets me. But yeah. Let's see. Star Saber was destroyed. The Star Saber was destroyed by Megatron. I don't know if that's a question. If you're asking me, can you upload some concept art after you upload the film? All concept art can be found on our webpage, www.primeanimations.com. We've uploaded everything, renders, tech specs, concept art, screenshots, the videos themselves, everything's on there. So if you could visit, again, www.primeanimations.com, you can definitely grab whatever you'd like from there. Will the finished movie be rendered, and will it... Okay, that's a great question. Will it be rendered? We want to render it. We want to render it. We really do. It would be extremely difficult to render this project out on our individual laptops. They will burn out. Our laptops are not meant for full-fledged renders. They're really not. They're really not. Not only that, but again, it takes away from animating. So let's say we wait till the end and we render after we're done animating. Well, then we're stuck because we can't do the sequel. We can't go right into the sequel. So we need the support from the fans, guys. I know it's kind of hard giving your hard-earned money, believe me, but we're not asking you guys to do hundreds of dollars. There have been enough likes on the intro video. I think it's like over 200,000 likes on it. If each individual person donated just $1, we would have surpassed goal, right? But if you could do more, you do more, and if you do the 50, you get something back. So it's not like you're doing it for nothing, right? And you also get recognition, and so that's why we have the GoFundMe page. We definitely want to render it out. It's going to be a massive loss if we don't render it out. You won't be able to see the glows. You won't be able to see the reflections. The special effects are going to be difficult because we do have some works of particles or knowledge of particles, and some of it is After Effects, right? So it's a combination of both. But we want to give you guys the best. We want to do the best, and in order for us to do the best, we really need your help. You know, it's hard for us to do it just the four of us. If we can get many to help out with just a little bit, it would be tremendous. It really would, from the bottom of my heart. How did you base the Combaticons? Great question. Combaticons. So our lead concept artist, phenomenal, very talented guy. He's over in China. He goes by the name Z. And so he just did some amazing concept art. He started taking bits and pieces, inspiration from multiple levels. I think his primary inspiration was from the video games, from the Fall of Cybertron, which is one of my favorite video games. And so he used that. Some direction came from me. Need to tweak this, need to change this, so on and so forth. But about, I would say 95% of it was his talent and his inspiration from wherever he gathered it from. The vehicles were specifically chosen by me. So what he did was he took those vehicles and he implemented into his designs. Hey there, Blue Raccoon. I got a question. Will the bots get new weapons or not? Oh, okay. No, I see what you're saying. So like external weapons? No, they won't. They're going to keep going with their regular weapons that have been built into their systems. Springer has a cool sword, just like in the movie, in the 86 movie. His blade, his propeller blade turns into a sword, so it's the same thing here. Each one has an internal weapon. Scourge has a couple of weapons. So Scourge's personality, if you read his bio, he's the hunter, right? You got Galvatron, who's the leader, right? The villainous leader. You've got Cyclonus, who's the warrior. He's an honorable warrior. He's very much like Dinobot from the Beast Wars. Even though he's a bad guy, he fights with honor. And anybody that does anything that's dishonorable, he just doesn't like. He's very much the same way. And in clip number 8, where clip number 8, animation clip number 8, you see a little bit of interaction between him and Slipstream. They're going to bump heads. Why? Because she's sadistic. She's crazy. She's nuts. She is an assassin. She doesn't care about anything. She just wants to kill. Actually, killing gives her pleasure. She loves it. It's fun for her. He, on the other hand, he only likes to kill in the heat of combat. So if you kill somebody, either whether they've been defeated or whether it's unnecessary, he's totally against that. So his personality is pretty cool. Scourge is the hunter. He likes to hunt. So he'll use a multitude of different weapons. He's got a sword. He's got grappling hooks. He's got an energon net. He's got a number of different tools at his disposal to hunt his prey down. So that's there. That wasn't Solus Prime. Sorry, I don't know. I can't remember who it was. It's been a while since I saw. I actually just finished buying season 1 and 2 on Amazon, so I'm kind of rewatching everything. I don't really remember which Prime he was. Cool. Starscream got his arm blown off. Right, he got his arm blown off. Yep. I think the reason Magnus had a hook was because the Autobots didn't have the replacement. Correct. Let's see. Will this movie come on Amazon Prime? No, it will not, because that means we're selling it. We're not selling this. We can't. It's copyrighted. We're just making it for fun as fans, nothing else. right? We're making it because we love it, and we want you guys to enjoy it, right? That's why we're making this trilogy. Remember, it's a trilogy. I want you guys to know that it's a trilogy. Did Megatron change it to Galvatron? I already announced that. No, it's a completely different character. Let's see. Nexo. I found a friend. Name is Lexo. He said if I watch live stream, he wants to apologize. Okay, no problem. There's a little bit of an issue that we won't go into it here. Maybe in a future date. Galvatron is a different character. What happened to the Dark Star? The Dark Star Saber. I don't know. We don't ever see it in Predacons Rising, so I don't know. It's not in our story, nor should it be, because the characters that are involved wouldn't know anything about it. Maybe the Autobots might, but obviously they didn't go back for it in Predacons Rising. So the Combaticons nor the Destructicons would have any knowledge to the Dark Star Saber. So no. Do I have any advice for people who want to do what I do? Okay, so education, right? Read books, watch lots of tutorials thanks to the internet. You can learn a lot before you even go to school. I self-taught myself how to animate. I bought a bunch of tutorials, books, read online, and started practicing. Anything that you do, right? Practice makes perfect. So I would recommend starting there. Obviously, if you want to go into it professionally, if you're really talented, I mean, extremely talented, you could, I guess, bypass the whole school thing. You could. This is just my personal opinion. I'm not giving you advice here, but you could potentially. But you'd have to be really, really good. Your work would have to be phenomenal for someone to look at it and say, "Hey, come on in. You don't need any credentials." But if not, like anything else, study, go to school for it, graduate. But beforehand, you can absolutely self-teach yourself. I think when I was younger, we didn't have the internet, so I didn't have that luxury. I had to go to school for it. But even I started out, life got in the way, made some bad choices, and then I started working, in corporate America. And after that is when I started teaching myself, and then I went to school to get my actual degree in it because, I wanted it. I really wanted to feel accomplished. So that would be my recommendation for you. Lego Prime. I'm confused. Is Fall of Cybertron its own universe, or is it connected to the Prime? From what I've read, it's connected. The video games have some connection to Prime, just like some of the comic books. But we're not touching that. Will there be any new Autobots in Dinobots Unleashed? The Dinobots. Yeah, absolutely. We've got many of them. I know I put out 3. I'm holding up 4 fingers. We put up 3, but there's more. There are more Dinobots. Is Springer Wrecker? Yes, he's the lieutenant of the Wreckers, so he knows what happened during the Wreckers. One of the we do touch a little bit on his past with them, so they'll immediately know each other. We'll see some cool interactions there. Remember the clip where Scourge held Smokescreen one-handed? How much stronger or bigger is Galvatron compared to the Autobot? That's a great question. So size comparison. That is a really good question. All the Destructicons tower over the Autobots. Think about it this way. Galvatron is about the same size as Predaking, and the Scourge and Cyclonus are about the same size as Megatron and Optimus Prime 2.0, and then Slipstream is the same size as Ultra Magnus. So they're all huge. They're all massive. Is Hot Rod named Rodimus or Hot Nose? Named Rodimus. Why? There was a whole big thing between Hot Rod and Rodimus, legalities of Hasbro, so I kind of wanted to keep it in line with that, so I named them Rodimus. But in some lines, like some quick banter between him and Smokescreen or some other, or maybe him and Springer, we do is like, all right, Hot Rod, relax, type of thing. So it's just a, it's kind of like a reference, a nod to his original name in 1986. How would a win between Megatron and Galvatron? That would be interesting. Too bad Megatron is like
based off of what we saw, he's like, I don't have any interest for this anymore. I'm done. He's like, I finally know what it's like to be oppressed, and I don't want to oppress anybody anymore. So practice, practice, practice. Yes, yes, absolutely, Andrew. Andrew, okay, so Andrew's on here watching this. Andrew is actually one of our staff members. He he modeled out all of the Destructicons and a couple of other characters for the sequel, and did some other work. So Andrew is a phenomenal artist, and appreciate all that he has done and continues to do, as well as I'll do some mentions of some of our members. Right, Jonathan, I already mentioned Jonathan Mason, amazing artist, lead animator on the project. Victoria Thomas, who has been our lead storyboard artist when it comes to story. She has been phenomenal. She's transitioned over to animation. And then we also have, like I mentioned, Z, who was our lead concept artist. He did a phenomenal job. We have Adrian, who is our lead action storyboard artist. She's just, wait till you see the action scenes. Let me tell you something. I took all her sketches and we rendered it out to do like a video of it, and I showed it to the audio guys. Right, the audio guys, even though they're only audio, they love watching this stuff. They love the meetings that we have. So I showed it to them. They were blown out of their seat with the action sequences that Adrian drew up. So I also did some storyboarding myself. And let me tell you, the action, the conflict it'll knock you guys off. I can't wait to show you guys. What is Dinobot Unleashed about? We're so far ahead of that. I can't really tell you. It's just the Dinobots are coming. That's all I'm gonna say. The Dinobots are coming. They're gonna kick butt, and they're gonna be massive in size as well. And they're gonna shock. They're gonna shock you guys. We're gonna do something that is really, really cool with the Dinobots. I think you guys will really be surprised. You guys are gonna love it. So it's gonna cause a lot of conflict, and it's gonna make it really interesting. Will Ultra Magnus fight Galvatron? Yeah, the leader has to fight the leader, and he's the only one that comes close to his size. Is he going to be successful? Unfortunately, as you saw in clip number 8, Bumblebee was kind of just thrown there on his side, and Ultra Magnus is lying unconscious next to him. So that kind of gives you an idea of the butt whooping that the Autobots got. Let's see. Wow, did not realize the Destructicons were so big. Yes, they are. We did that specifically for a specific reason. So I don't want you to think, oh my gosh, it doesn't make sense. Why are they so? We did it for a really good reason, and you'll see that once we get there. Let's see. Is there potential for Megatron to return in the sequel as the Autobot role? No, there is no potential for that. He's not an Autobot. He's not an Autobot. The only thing that he's done is give up the Decepticon cause, and I think I'm quoting him with that at the end of Predacons Rising. So no, he's not an Autobot. Rodimus weapon. So he's got the I don't know if it's the muzzler on his car, but he's got those the muzzler, not the muzzler. What am I talking about? The muffler on his forearm. So he's got that. I don't know if you guys can see this really good back here, but there's an image of him right here. So he's got those coming out of his forearm. He also has an energy bow, which he will use in the film. So that was another external weapon I forgot to mention. So I apologize for that. Said they show 3 Dinobots, but there will be more. Yes, there will be more. Yes, Razor Flame. Do you know how to animate in Blender, like to transform, or where I can? That I don't know, Fun Guy. That's going to be something that I can't answer, really. Really, our lead animator is the one who knows Blender inside and out, so he would be the one. Love the show. Great. Reason I asked if Hotshot, I went to Transformer, the Hotshot for Prime is part of the records. Yeah, again, that might be and so I'm answering Drake's question about the Hotshot naming thing. Yeah, if WikiLeaks said that, they're probably taking off the comics or some other place, but that was definitely not mentioned in the Prime show. And again, this project and the sequels are solely based on the Prime cartoon. I'm not including the we may have things that reference those just because it makes sense, but I personally haven't read any of the comics. I did play the video game, but again, we're not taking that into consideration because obviously Bruticus was in the Fall of Cybertron video game, but we're not doing with that. It's just strictly off of the Prime universe. All right, what is it? Omega? Omega, your friend got into the Transformers. Great. I hope he really likes what we're gonna do here. Well, I'm telling you, we're not gonna disappoint you guys, and it's not because it's my project. It really. I mean, I've shared it with the team. Obviously, all of my team members know. They all have obviously signed. They signed documents that they can't release a non-disclosure form. But each and every one of them is excited for the story. They've heard it. They've had their inputs as well, so they've kind of tweaked things here and there just to make it more sense. We want to make sure we don't have any gaps in the story, any plot holes. As many things as possible get answered. There are things that are not going to get answered, and we are doing that on purpose because we can't answer everything in one film. It's got to make sense. So for instance, the whole arachnid thing, right? We just can't fit her. She's on a moon in Cybertron, and that's not where the focus is. The focus is specifically on the mission of the Destructicons. So I want to make that clear. Can you do 2 movies of Transformers, Galvatron, both? Again, we're gonna try. We wanna be consistent. So if we do the first one at an hour and a half, we want to do the second one around that same time frame, and the third one at that same time frame. So we're going to be consistent with the timing. Phase shifter. Will we see Smokescreen's phase shifter? I'm thinking. Yes, we will. Yes, we will see it. Why the Combaticons? I love them. Legit. Just wondering. All right, Danny Williams. Why? Well, number one, they're military vehicles. Like, honestly, construction vehicles don't make sense. Right? They're construction vehicles. Why are the Autobots fighting construction vehicles? It just wouldn't make sense based on the story. So, military vehicles make absolute sense, right? They're hunting the Autobots down. They managed to come across some military vehicles. And so, based on the story, when the Combaticons crash land on Earth, right, they're going to be greeted by none other than our military. So it only makes sense that they would scan military vehicles and not construction vehicles. So that's why. I just thought it makes more sense, when it comes to the story. I have some ideas for your sequel. Hey, Black Ranger, thanks so much. And we've gotten a numerous amounts of emails making recommendations and so on and so forth and suggestions. We really appreciate that. It's really nice that people would chime in and give their thoughts, and we really appreciate it. We already have the stories lined out as far as the flow of it goes. What I'm actually working on is the dialogue right now. I'm doing that kind of in between, just to give myself a break in between from the anime. So when I'm done animating, kind of go into and start writing dialogue. But it's already been done, but we appreciate it, man. Will Megatron help the Autobots? I've already answered that. A little off topic, but is there a Transformer that you would have liked to put in this film but didn't make the cut? That's a heck of a great question, Silas. There's a number of different ones that I would have liked to have put in here. My favorite is Springer, and I put him in there, but Jetfire is another one of my favorites, and I would have liked to have put him in here. And I could have just made him a wrecker. But if I did, it just doesn't go along with the original Jetfire, who was a scientist. So Jetfire is definitely one that I would have liked to put in here. Great question. Will the Combaticons work together with Galvatron's team? That's another good question. Think about it this way. The Destructicons have no allegiance to anybody other than Unicron. One of my favorites from Prime was Megatron's speech. Yep. Let's see. Sorry. What do you great inspiration to me? I want to thank you. Oh, thanks. Thanks so much. We all have to get inspiration from somebody somewhere. So I'm glad that this project, I'm glad our team can inspire so many of you guys. I've had a number of fans come out and say, hey, this has inspired me to do my own project. And I think there's this one guy. I think his name is Shadow Elite, who's doing a project, and it seems pretty cool. I'm actually interested in seeing the story, how it goes. Story for me is key. It's what keeps me locked in. It's what takes me to a different world. So really curious to see how he does. But I think we kind of inspired him, if I'm not mistaken, if my memory serves me correct. But I think there's a number of you guys that have reached out, and it's really cool. I've drawn inspiration from others, so it's cool that we can pass that torch down. Why Rodimus on Earth vehicle? Excuse me, Megatron the Autobot is asking that question. Well, him and Springer crash landed on Earth, so they would need to, in order for them to be robots in disguise, right? They would need an Earthbound vehicle. So keep this in mind. This whole adventure is going to start out in space, and from space we're going to go to Earth. From Earth, we're going to go back to space. We're going to be in Cybertron, and then we're going to head back to Earth. So, be it that these characters are on Earth, it only makes sense that they would have Earth vehicles, right? Yeah, Lego Prime. I'll read it. Can't guarantee that I'll implement any of it, especially since I have already the stuff written out. How powerful are the Combaticons compared to Team Prime? That's a great question. So the Combaticons are pretty strong. They're also pretty big. For example, so Onslaught is close to Ultra Magnus's height. Close to. I don't think they're quite the same height, but he's close to. I know Brawl and Swindle are the same height as Bulkhead, right around there. And I think the other two are kind of like the same height as Springer. Springer's slightly lower than Bulkhead, but taller than Wheeljack. I don't know if that gives you a comparison. And then obviously when they combined to form Bruticus, they're pretty huge, right? So yeah. Let's see, Steve, what's up, buddy? How you doing? How many references from the Transformer Prime TV show are going to do RV? Like I wish is Miko there? Okay, so none of the human characters, as far as like Miko, Raph, and Jack, they're not in this one. They're not in this one because the story just doesn't take us there, right? So after Predacons Rising, they're not in Predacons Rising at all. So we don't know where they're at. But based on where the story goes, it wouldn't make sense for them to be there. Will they show up? I have them planned for the third film. They're not going to be in the second one because the second one's gonna it's all gonna take place on Cybertron. But by the third one, I have an idea of and being able to bring them in. Let's see, Nemesis. Can Megatron from Beast Wars make an appearance? No. As much as I love Megatron and his yes and all his he was one of my favorite characters from Beast Wars. Really, I was watching it the other day, and when Inferno calls him royalty, will we not? And whatever, and his response is so comedic. I love it. Beast Wars is in my heart as well. Well, I know the cons did some really questionable stuff during the war, so maybe they did some Frankenstein stuff. Could be. Who's my favorite of the 13 primes? You know what? The concept of the 13 primes is fairly new. The first time I heard about the 13 primes was in the Bayverse movie. I'm not really too familiar with the 13 primes, so I'd have to look that up and kind of do some research on who they are and whatnot. Optimus Prime is my favorite, so I know he's a prime. Not sure if he counts, but yeah, Prime is my favorite. How cool is Knockout in this movie? Oh my gosh! So Victoria Thomas, again, one of our artists, she's an absolute like diehard Knockout fan, so she's loving where we're taking Knockout. Knockout is going to be so essential. I felt like he was kind of useless in Predacons Rising, and I get it. He was still in his Decepticon phase, right? He doesn't jump ship until the very end, but he was pretty useless in it, and it's kind of sad because he's a really cool character. A lot of people like him, and but he's got a major role He's got like, I think out of every single character, and I don't know why, because he's not one of my favorite characters. I think my favorite characters between B and RC, as far as the Prime universe goes. But he's got the most amount of character development, and he's going to be absolutely crucial for this story. Will Optimus and Megatron, I've already addressed that. Let's see, what will the third film be about? How will it be called? Well, I've got the name already done, and I've got the plot already set, but I can't give that away. It's too early. Too early in the game. We'll wait till the sequel, and then I'll reveal the title for the third film. There are going to be references from them, like references like flashback. Yeah, well, yes, there are. We're gonna get some flashbacks. We're gonna get flashbacks into the origins of the Destructicons. We're going to get flashbacks. I think there's like two. Oh, flashback into how Springer became a triple changer, right? Because there are no triple changers in the Prime universe in the Prime cartoon. So when Fowler sees him become a triple changer, he's like freaked out. Like, whoa, wait a minute. You guys can scan more than 2 vehicles? What's up with that? So we will get a little bit of a flashback or an explanation as to how that came. That's going to be really cool. You guys will like that. How many Autobots are in the movie? Well, you've got Ratchet, Ultra Magnus, Wheeljack, Bulkhead, B, Smokescreen, and then Rodimus and Springer. What is your favorite combiner? Oh, man. I guess from the original show, Danny Williams. Who's my favorite combiner? That's a great question. For Autobots, I maybe the aerial bots. I think they were all. I like them all, but I think the aerial bots. As far as Decepticons go, I thought Predacon, not Predacon. Yeah, is it? No, Piranacon. I thought Piranacon was pretty cool. It was a pretty cool looking character. Will Alpha Trion be in the movies? No. Check out Trion. Okay. Yeah, I'll definitely read up on the 13 primes. Is there a goal you have set for a release date? No. I do want to address this. This is a really good question, RoboMan157. We don't have a release date. Why? I originally wanted to release the movie in 2017, like I said, but because I made the leadership decision to switch softwares, it set us back a great deal. So I don't want to promise something and not be able to deliver again. One thing I don't like is going back on my word or changing it. I have lots of integrity, and I think a person, once you give your word on something, you should follow through with it. And so I don't want to lock myself in again and disappoint you guys once again. So we had to push it back. We want to finish it, honestly, no later than next year. At the rate that we're going, I don't see why this can't be finished next year unless something bad happens. And I also want to address this. There have been some comments that have been a little bit rude and a little bit pushy, and like, why is this taking so long? And it hurts a little bit. It frustrates because we're doing this out of the just the love of it, you know. We're doing this just because we each have families. I've got 3 little ones. I have to, get up at 6 o'clock in the morning, get them breakfast, get them ready, take them to school, come home, cook, clean. Once I pick them up from school, help them with their homework, spend quality time with them. I don't get to get on my laptop till, maybe 10, 11, 12 at night, and I'm animating, right? Each of us has our own different things that we're doing. So we're really asking for patience. We'll get it done. Whenever it's done, it's done. And then whenever we have an actual release date, we'll let you guys know. We want to finish this by next year. We'd like to finish it this year, but at the pace that I foresee, I think next year would be more realistic. Can you talk about the voice talents on this project? For some of the clips you released, the acting has been very good. This from Silas again. So thanks for that, man. Let me tell you, the voice talent, again, all done voluntarily. Nobody's being paid. Nobody's giving money. I'm not taking any money for this. Everybody's doing this on a 100% voluntary basis. And so we had auditions. We had we set the word out. We had and we had a lot of auditions. I had to go through maybe like close to 100 different audition files. And what I did was I chose the ones that would best represent who the character was, as far as sound. Um, they've been doing a phenomenal job. I'm directing the voice acting, so what I do is I get with people on Skype. They have the lines, they'll read it, and I will direct them through what emotions I want them to convey. If I want them, how I want things said. If I want to give a little bit more emphasis in certain places. So that's how we've been working it. And a lot of these guys have been, all of them have been doing a really fantastic job. I know there have been some critiques as far as the voices. I get that. Keep in mind two things. One, again, nobody's being paid. We cannot get the original voice actors. Some people have asked, why don't you get the original voice actors? That takes money, and that takes a lot of money. I don't even think the 20 grand that we have would cover the entire cast to get the original cast to get them back. The 20 grand that we're asking for on GoFundMe. It's, not realistic. That's number one. Number two, we're limited to who actually auditions. For example, Ratchet and Bulkhead. They're being voiced by a friend of mine who I went to school with. He's the only person that auditioned for that. What am I going to do? He comes really close. I mean, he comes as close as possible for just one person having auditioned for those two characters. What can I do? As long as he sounded, as close as possible within his ability. I mean, we can only work with what we got. We can't do more. As much as I would like to. I would love to have the original cast in all these characters, but I don't. So I've selected people who sound the closest based on the auditions that I received. I think I only had 2 auditions for RC. I don't have a lot to choose from. So that's there. So keep in mind, guys, these guys are just doing this out of the kindness of their heart. I know I've read some comments about Slipstream. I got to be honest with you guys. Based on my vision, who Slipstream is, I want her to be nuts. I want her to be insane. I want her to be kind of like the Harley Quinn of Transformers, but bloodthirsty. Not just psychotic and ditzy. I want her to be bloodthirsty. She is not ditzy at all. She's a very skilled and trained assassin. And so I want her to sound nuts. She's not. She just sounds it. She just gets a kick. She gets a high out of killing. That's just who she is. So I personally like the voice. We are going to add some modifiers to some of these voices to try and get them, because some of our cast is young, so we want them to sound a little bit more mature as far as the tone of their voice. So we are going to add modifiers to some of them and make it. So again, the audios that you guys are hearing on these clips, they're not the final ones. Whether it's music, whether it's sound effect, whether it's the actual voice itself. So just don't worry. We're on it. Incarnated as explained. Let's see. Is this series Prime didn't get reincarnated as they explained? He was originally. I think you're going into a conversation with somebody else, so I'm just going to bypass that. How is the comedy in this movie? We have some funny bits. For the most part, it's going to keep in pace with the tone of Predacons Rising. It's not going to be like. It's not going to be Thor Ragnarok. I don't think I'm that funny of a guy, so my ability to write comedy is going to be very, very limited. It's going to keep in line with the series. It's not going to be completely dry. We're going to have some quips here and there, but nothing that's going to, bust your gut or anything like that. Doesn't have any live chat option with Hasbro, so you can chat with their agents live. Yes, fan guy. We already know. We've already sent them. We've spoken to them. They gave us direction on what we need to do to fill out the forms, and we did it. If Nemesis was brought back, but he's not. He's not in the story, so I'm not. Won't address that. What did you think of the Bumblebee movie from last year? Bumblebee was fun. It was fun. It was actually an enjoyable film. I just now that it's confirmed that it's a reboot, because I didn't know if it was a reboot or not. If it was a reboot, I was like, well, why would you continue to do things that were similar to the Bayverse stuff, right? Like Bee's face. I can't stand Bee's face. I hate it. He looks so much cooler with the mask on, but he just looks. Anyhow, you mentioned like Agent Simmons, so there's references to the Bayverse stuff, right? But so it just doesn't make sense that it would have been a reboot, and as well as did it make sense that it was a prequel, because there's so many things that are out of line. For example, Bumblebee coming down in the 80s, when at the fifth movie he was in World War II. So that's a huge disconnect for me. No mention of there's no mention of anything, the glasses, Megatron, nothing of whatever happened in the first Bayverse film. So there's a huge disconnect. I don't know. I really wish Hasbro would kind of like get their act together and stop flip flopping and really just do something really incredible. I think they my gosh, Transformers. I mean, it's self-made. You just got to get a good story, a good cohesive, consistent story, right? It's going to bring it all together. The action, we know the action is going to be there. It's freaking Transformers. Get the story right. That's my take. But I enjoyed the Bumblebee movie. It was fun. It was fun. I'm actually looking forward to the second one. As a matter of fact, the first, like, what was it, 2-3 minutes of that whole thing on Cybertron, if I get a movie like that, oh, I would love it. Make a movie like that, please, Hasbro. Will there be after? I think you mean after credit scenes. Aligned love. Will there be an after credit scene? Yes, there's going to be an after credit scene that's going to set up the sequel. Don't want to give that away, but yes, there will be. Great question. I don't think I've ever said that, so that's new information for you guys. I'm gonna skip past that, guys. We've been here for an hour, and I don't want this to be extremely long, so I'm gonna wrap it up pretty soon here. Random things, thank you so much. We appreciate the love. Take your time. Thanks for that. Appreciate it. Will Mirage, Proud, Blue Streak. So all these characters that we've already said are there for this movie. We will introduce more characters in the next one. Like we said, Dinobots, it's in the title. And in the third film, I do have a number of new characters that will join, some of which are from the old G1 and some that are from other iterations of the Transformers continuity. I'm not going to say which ones, but you'll definitely be like, whoa. I think if you replay this video and you see where my heart lies, you may get some where I'll pull some more characters from. But anyhow, more additions. Yes, when we get into the sequel, obviously we got new characters, so we're gonna need new voice talent for it, right? So yeah, we'll let you guys know when that happens. Steven, you'd like to get involved? Great. I don't know how. Can you animate? Can you animate in Blender? If you can, shoot me a link with your portfolio. We'll take a look at it. If you're over 18, you can help us out. If you're under 18, unfortunately, I can't, because all of my artists have signed a contract, and legally, if you're under the age of 18, you cannot sign a contract, a legally binding contract. And the contract is not for the characters, but the work that we're producing, right? The models, the scenes, whatever the case may be, right? So if you're above 18, we'll get you to sign the proper forms and the non-disclosure. And we'll take a look. If you can help us out, great. We need help. Well, we only got 4 animators. Hey, if we could get 2 more, just speeds up the process. So yeah, if you know anybody that can animate in Blender, please bring it, or is willing to learn, right? If you can animate but you don't have experience in Blender, we could take you in as well. But again, over 18, you got to sign the papers, because we don't want somebody coming in and just taking our stuff, which somebody did try to do. They tried to pretend in order to get access to our models, and so we if that happens, we will take the proper actions. I mean, we have a legal document, a legal form that my attorney put together. So and again, it's not for the characters. The characters are copyrighted. It is for the work that we have done based on these models. So yeah. Who have voice characters as you have characterized them. I don't care if they don't sound 100. Great. That's exactly where we're at, Silas. Let's see. Actually, okay. One of the Transformers movie. Let's see, Aiden, excuse me. Would you be actually okay with you being the one who directs the next Transformer movie? Would you do it? And would you tell us? I didn't study film directing. I studied computer animation. So to do a legitimate professional directing of a movie in Hollywood, I would definitely need to do a lot of studying and a lot of training for it. What I'm doing here is I'm doing the best that I can do based on my knowledge of what directing is, and I think you guys will be pleased as far as that goes. But if that should come to happen, hey, if I put this out and Hasbro knocks on my door, I'd say yeah, and I give each and every one of you guys credit for me being there. Let's see. Great. Thanks, Megatron the Autobot. Will Galvatron survive the film? Come on, I'm giving. You want me to give that away when the film's not even done? Like, if I give stuff like that away, you won't even bother watching the movie. Aligned Love. No, I can't give that away. You'll just have to wait and see. Let's see. Will there be Autobots from Prime that had to deal with the death of Optimus? I kind of see RC and Ratchet taking this death the most. That is a fantastic question. To answer your question, yes, but I'm not going to tell you which ones take it the hardest. You'll have to wait for that. Good luck. I'm counting. Thanks, Danny. Appreciate the love. Silas, thanks so much again. Keep it going. All right, we'll do a live stream part. All right, great. So we're at the end of our questions. It's an hour and 15 minutes. I hope I answered a lot of your questions. Our next one we'll do next month. And what I'll do there is kind of go into a little bit more of the animated clips that we've done. Hopefully by that time I'll have uploaded a new animation clip. And you guys can ask some questions off of that stuff, or I'll give you an update on where we're at. Just to give you guys, I guess some crumbs for the next animation clip. It'll be some new characters that you haven't seen before. We should be able to see Wheeljack, RC, Bulkhead in the next clip, so you'll get to hear their voices and see how they are. So something to look forward to. Until then, guys, thanks so much for your love, your support. Thank you for your encouragement. Keep pushing us as far as the encouragement goes. Again, critique us with respect and love, and we'll take it all in. We'll adjust, and we'll keep getting better. But like I said, my promise to you guys is that we will get this done no matter what, even if I have to be a one-man army, which I know I'm not going to be. I've got my team that's fully supportive, and we're going to keep knocking this out. And again, if you guys want to help out, if you guys are able to, we're willing to accept that based on the fact that you can actually help out. Some people have actually tried to come on board and know nothing and don't have anything to show for it. I can't, it's just going to slow me down. So if you are able to contribute, please send me an email with your portfolio. I'll review it. I'll take a look. Send it to me, www.primeanimations.com, right? You can email me there, or you can email me directly, gman3330@gmail.com. Again, I will respond, and we'll see what we can do. Until then, guys, enjoy your weekend. Remember, till all are one. Thanks so much, guys.